Life is an open road, feather up and foot to the floor. Life is a one-way street, there's no going back for more. Take the wheel and make the bends, watch the winds and mind the winds. You can't sleep at journey's end, save the backseat for your friend. It's too easy to overload, 'cause life is an open road.
Hey there, welcome to Just a Gypsy with Nick Russell. I'm Dave Dufour, and behind me, over my shoulder, is Nick Russell, the editor of Gypsy Journal, which I'm going to hold up right here. If you don't read this sucker, you just aren't using your whole brain, I don't think. Anyway, this is Nick's magazine for RVers, and that's the latest issue right there. But we have been trying to catch up with Nick for a while here. It's been it's been difficult because for a number of different reasons. But since the last time we talked, Nick, you were in Florida, and now you are all the way over to Apache Junction, Arizona, right? And tell us about you suffered some cold weather though between now and then, right?
And we're still suffering cold weather.
Okay.
It was cold and nasty in Florida, and it was cold and nasty in Texas. And yesterday in Apache Junction, Arizona, it was 36 degrees at noon, and today it's 10:45 and it's 34 degrees.
All right. Well, you got the south end of what they've been calling snowpocalypse here. As we're recording this, it's still they're under a couple of feet of snow in Chicago, but at least you don't have that. So I guess that's one blessing. Tell us about your.
Well, I have wheels under my house to be away from that. So
yeah, that's true. That's I see. It's on purpose.
It's on purpose, yes.
That's right. Hey, tell us about your trip between here and there. You hit some really interesting spots in Texas, and starting with this Frontier Texas in Abilene. What's that all about?
Well, we took Interstate 20 across Texas this time, and there's so many little towns there that people just blow on past. They're in a hurry to get to El Paso and get where they're going, and we took some time and explored some of the towns through there. And the first one was Abilene and Frontier, Texas. Frontier, Texas is an interactive welcome center and museum on the history of Texas up to 1880s. And it's very neat. You go in and you're walking down a little hallway, and all of a sudden lights come on and you're in the middle of a buffalo stampede.
Right.
And,
cool.
Time you're sitting there and with video and audio and things, you're in the middle of an Indian raid and things like that. It's just quite an experience. It really makes you feel like you're part of what's going on.
Yeah, but
just looking at.
But it's a historical thing. I mean, Texas is so history rich, I guess, and it's one of those all-American historical kinds of locales, I assume. But that sounds like that's in Abilene, right?
That's an Abilene, yes.
That's an Abilene.
And what this does is it brings history to life. You're not just looking at static exhibits in a museum or something. You're actually a part of it.
Okay, that's cool. That's really neat. After Abilene, you moved on to Buffalo Gap.
Buffalo Gap is a very neat place. It's a living history museum. It's 15 miles or so south of Abilene, and they've moved a bunch of historic buildings there. There's the old courthouse in Buffalo Gap, and it's full of all kind of exhibits and things like that. But they have a dozen or more historic buildings there, everything from a blacksmith shop to a schoolhouse and that sort of thing. So
okay,
here's quite an interesting thing.
Here's the blacksmith shop, of course. It's interesting how smaller communities take a huge amount of pride in their histories, and we have that situation here locally as well. And this is an old gas station, old Texaco gas station as well, that's been restored or preserved, I guess. But
Right.
sometimes that kind of history is, we think of American history as kind of the big history, but these kind of places, they kind of show you what the real people were doing at the time when some of the big history was happening, isn't it? Do you get that feeling?
Very much so, and that's what we love. We love to go in and see how people lived. History is happening every day. It's happening. We're part of history right now. 20, 30 years from now, 50 years from now, we'll be history. So we like to see how the people lived and go in and see, how did they wash their clothes. They have a display of old washing machines.
Oh, okay.
How did they go to school? That sort of thing.
Right, and it's truly it's an education that you don't get at school. I guess is kind of at least they not as much.
Very,
So,
very much so. Very much so.
this next slide, this is Midland, Texas, where you visited the.
Yes, we went to the George Bush boyhood home. George W. Bush.
Right.
I'm sorry. Yeah, W.
That's W. Yeah.
I get the Georges confused. Yes.
That's right.
The boyhood home, and very modest home that has been totally restored. The Bush family lived here for about 5 years during the 1950s, and they were not a wealthy family at that time. They were a growing, family, and
Right.
they're starting the oil business and that sort of thing. So it was quite interesting to see. The house had been in total ruin. It was in terrible shape, and they went in and restored it just like it was when the Bush family lived there.
Right. Okay. And then from Midland, we go on to Pecos, Texas, and there's a museum.
Pecos, Texas.
Yeah, there's a museum there as well. The West of the Pecos Museum.
West of the Pecos Museum in Pecos, Texas. It's 3 floors. This was an old hotel and saloon back in the late 1800s and up through the up to the 1940s, I guess, or 1950s actually.
Right.
The saloon there actually has 2 plaques on the wall from a shootout that took place, and you can still see the bullet holes in the wall. And they have 2 plaques on the floor where a couple of bad guys met their end. So it's quite interesting to see.
Nothing like seeing the spot where the bad guys bit it, right?
That's right. In fact, actually, at the museum, on the grounds of the museum, one of the Old West gunfighters, Clay Allison, is buried there.
Right. Now the Pecos is an old cattle town. Is that what it was?
It was an old cattle town, and now it's an oil boom town.
Now it's an oil
in
boom
the
town.
middle of the oil fields.
Right. Yeah. Cool. So so you had a good trip across, even though, and now you're heading for the reason you're going from Florida west is because your Western rally is coming up here in March, correct?
Our Arizona Gypsy Journal gathering will be in Yuma, Arizona, March 7th to 11th.
March 7th to 11th. So you're in sort of in prep for that almost getting into the prep for that at this point.
Getting very close. We've been prepping for a year. It takes a long time to pull one of these things off, but
right.
We're getting down to the short days now, so we've got a lot of last minute things coming.
Hey, I wanted to bring up something. You wrote a blog post in your regular blog, which by the way has moved. It's at gypsyjournalrv.com. You've got a new address for the blog. But the piece that I noticed was one it had to do with the difference between RVers and RV campers, and you kind of made a distinction there, and it's kind of an important one.
Yes, it is. The point of the blog was that we have a lot of readers. We have 15,000 readers, and a lot of them decide they want to go full time. They read about the adventures we have, and they want to become full timers or extended travelers and that sort of thing. And there's a transition that has to be done between that and weekend camping. And we talked about some of that, the preparations that one needs to make, in the type of RV that they have, and all the little things from getting their mail forwarded to knowing where they're going to go and that sort of thing. It's a different lifestyle than weekend camping.
Right, and in just in terms of the kind of equipment that you have, if you enjoy camping, weekend camping, you have to think in terms of that you really can't live in the same kind of unit that you weekend camp in, correct?
Well, I mean, if you weekend camp in a large 40-foot motorhome, yes, you could.
Well, I guess you can. That's right.
The pop-ups and things like that, no, they're not going to work for extended travel.
Right. Yeah, and I suppose people find that out pretty quickly.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, you can keep in touch with us here at the Gypsy at Just a Gypsy, and keep in touch with Nick Russell by first of all by telephone. You can dial 877-578-RVNN extension 707. That'll take you right to Nick Russell's voicemail, and you can leave a message, ask a question, etc. You can also email Nick at gypsy@rvnn.tv. You can also follow RVNN at Twitter, Facebook, and also on Flickr as well. And also, if you would like some updates updates as to what's happening kind of up to the minute on your cell phone, you can send a text message, text RVNN to the number 72727. These are all the different ways that you can stay in touch and be part of the community, stay in touch with Nick Russell and all the other shows here on RVNN.TV. We're going to be back with another session with Nick Russell talking about about another destination here, and so stay with us.
For more TV like this from the world of RVs, head to RVNN.TV.